Hello again. I am back once more. I'm not sure whether I will upload this today since you already had 2 notifications from me, and maybe I'll just take the opportunity to pre-record and then post it tomorrow, or I have another clever idea about that. I was outside just now. There's about, I don't know, 1.5 inches. There's much of snow outside still, and the patterns in the ice in the pond are really pretty. Somebody probably threw in a stone or something, and then the ice just froze over again in the middle, and there's no snow on that part, and so you get all these like tree root type patterns around that, and sometimes, I don't know, rings in the ice, and spots and abstract bits, which I love. You know, I can always look at that. I can take 100 pictures easy. Actually, what I really want to get into, it's a bit more fiddly. It's not about pretty pictures. It's not about drawing. It's not about the eclipse, although that has a lot to do with it. It's not about, you know, that's my new drawing right there. About influences from higher realms or any of it. I just like to share what I have been doing on a therapeutic basis, which is really, which has been helping me a lot. So, as you can see, I still got my rocks on. I'll probably take them off quite soon because it's a bit of a weight. I've already shown you this one, and that's the favorite at the moment because it's a new one. This is the bag of the Mary Magdalene quartz crystals, pebbles really, and I have one more in here, and it looks like this. So you can see it is also a pink red hematite type quartz. Actually I have 2 of these. This is the other one, and they look quite similar, don't they? There is a difference, especially in the energies. Price-wise, they were more or less the same, and they've got everything to do with sort of reprogramming my energy field to be more capable of connecting and engaging on a personal, heart-based level, really. So I even have to think about the words that I want to say about that, because all this is fairly, or even absolutely new to me. So I tend to use these type of stones. I mean, what I'm trying to say also is it's really worthwhile looking up a shop in your neighborhood, or even less close by, where they give you this type of crystals, where you get information with the crystals as well. It's just, there's a lot out there that you don't hear about if you just go to some kind of a, you know, gemstones fair, or I don't know, you know, a witchy fair or a witchy shop. They don't always specialize, of course, in crystals at all. So it's really worth shopping around and trying to find a bit more intel on, you know, how a lot of them really work. And also especially follow your gut. Just follow the, and the craziest things happen, don't they? You just run into things. I have got an excellent, my go-to crystal shop is about 200 kilometers away from my home. But it just so happens that when we go on this day-long trip to visit my husband's clients on the other end of the country, I actually pass close by that shop. And so there's generally there's 3 to 4 times a year that I can actually go and visit and shop around for maybe half an hour or so at the end of the workday, because they close by 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So we just have to make that happen, you know. Just there have been times that I was just so obsessed with getting one particular type of stone, and it's been several times that I all day. I was like in this OCD frenzy of I gotta get in time, I gotta get to the shop. And of course it all depends on Johnny's clients, what's happening, what people are, needing to discuss, etc. And each time it's just worked perfectly and I got my rock. So, however, long story short, as much as I love all this stuff, I do not wear them for more than, say, an hour at a time. Max an hour every day, I think. And then several days without, even, because I like that they inspire me on the energy level. I can feel what they're doing. And then I just put them away again because I do not want them to determine how I feel. See? So that's just my approach. It can be for you, it can be, and I have been like that myself in the past, that I'm wearing this one most of all at the moment. I'm wearing it almost every day, or handling it at least. I will do so until I've sort of made it my own, more or less. But at some point, I just want to be able also to check in with myself without any external influences. So that being said, that's really where I was going with this whole tale of mine. Is I find it a bit, as you maybe can tell, I find it a bit challenging to get the words in the right frame for me to talk about this, because what I've been doing was kind of a visualization / meditation type exercise, but it is all about the emotions, my emotional life, really. Now, as you may know from having visited my channel, I have at some point several times gone into the term completion work, and I have put in the references to Teal Swan's book about the completion process and all that, and that is really where all this has begun. And I can still have often moments where I am kind of dissociated within myself. I am kind of not completely aware, because I used to be, I've got all these habits, right? My habits are what shape me, really. Unless I do something about it and reprogram myself and just stick with it until I retrain myself and get a different scheme of things going, okay? So I really tend to, especially when there's more physical work involved, more people involved, people that are not the witchy, pagan, crystal-loving, angel and vibration-aware type people, all those, when I get involved with them, or my husband comes home and he's been very busy with many people who are all carrying energetic forms of overload around with him, and he transports it all with him home, and I have to do something about that again, because I just I completely lose track of my life. So what that does is, if I do not take action in several ways, I will lose track of myself, and I will end up maybe a couple of hours later feeling quite unhappy, quite heavy, lacking any type of inspiration for my own life. I will just generally be a dreadful bore. I'll watch TV and I will be upset with myself because I don't like living that way for more than like 5 minutes at a stretch. I mean, I am human, yes. I'm allowed to be bored sometimes, and it's no problem if I've done this, that, and the other, and I've had, a bit of result of my day, and that's the way I look at it. I just have had to fight always, okay? So for me, it's not like I'm going to accept going into depression, going into inactivity, inertia. All those things are not the way I want to live. Night of Wands, remember? It's just not me. So especially when the actual cause of the imbalance, if that's what I should call it, is just vibrational. And all I need to do is appeal to white light and just get the whole thing cleaned up, and everything will be transformed, and now my awareness will open up and I'll be completely available to life again. So that's one path, and I have described this in my meditation videos that maybe I should link one or two down below for you to have a look at if you haven't seen them. I have used several meditation strategies and techniques intensively for quite a long time. So there's a lot more that can be said. However, this one that I'm sort of trying to get to with by all these highways along over the mountains, I think nowadays what I'm doing is quite new to myself again, and I'm not referring to the Shakti work, which is another separate story and is again completely vibrational. This that I'm trying to get at is actually a pattern or a state that I bring myself to, which allows completion within myself, emotional completion, to take place on a very deep level. What I do is I imagine that I am in maybe some type of a sweat lodge or a yurt, even smallish circular shape room that is sunken into the earth. It's not completely underneath the surface of the earth, but just sort of halfway sunk into it. In the middle is a fireplace with, rocks around it. And around the fireplace is a little place for us to walk. And around that are seats or benches or what have you. You can just color this in to your own taste, whatever way you like it. I try to make it into, a bit of a prehistoric or native looking setting, or something that's really comforting, quite warm enough. And there's a smoke hole, Gina Mowell, Mammoth Hunter style lodge, that type of thing. Not too big. Now, the basic idea, you could do this in any number of other settings that you find comfortable for yourself. But the basic idea really is that the only people in there that are present around that fire are versions of me, versions of my emotional life. I think I've been doing this now almost every day for maybe a bit more than a week. And it is just such a comfort, because it's like almost like a little movie that I am making for myself. And I am engaged in a discussion. I am having a conversation with each and every part of myself that wants attention. And it may sound like one huge ego trip, and it isn't, because it is always about the real emotion that comes up. So, say for example, one of the strongest people in the lodge really is a shade of myself, a shadow self, a person, a child version of me that has only ever known fear. She sits on my left side, and she's there. She's always there. And now that I've got the lodge and I've got everybody, sort of assigned a seat, and everybody's due respect, everybody's due getting listened to, etc., I can listen to what they have to say, and it works. It just works for me outside the lodge. It works for me in the outside world. And that's why probably I needed a bit of a lengthy introduction getting to this actual situation to share it with you guys, because I think it can be really, maybe it helps somebody else out there. Maybe, maybe you find this, but it is demanding. It demands quite a level of honesty and I suppose integrity within yourself to do this. You either do it properly or you just are freaked out and you stay away. It's fine. If you need this, you will find this a balm to your soul. So this little figure that sits to my left, that is the one that has ever only known fear. It is an aspect of me, okay? She has had a very difficult life. Her whole, that part of me, that fragment, if you will, of me has ever only been adapted to that life. She's completely focused on that. And so she promotes defensiveness in other figures that are around us. So there's a part of me that tends to be an enormous control freak about everything I do, that tends to want to, I am such a control freak, I do not make notes of what I'm going to say to you, ever. I just have to be confident, which I kind of manage, that I will actually say all those things that I need to say, that I think would be useful for you to hear. And I have made out for myself a kind of a rule as to how I should be in that respect, and that I take my stuff seriously, and that, you know, how I go about this. So the control is in here. The control, sometimes I don't need that much control, and I just have 3 things that I know I'm going to forget one of the 3, then I will jot them down. And that's also a form of control, of course. You just have to take this stuff seriously, okay? So the controlling figure part of myself tends to be positivistic, positive about things, optimistic, self-assured, confident, what have you, happy, engaged even, you know, very wary, very not really trusting or any of that. It's like there's different versions of that control type character, and some of them are more trusting than others. It's a crowd in there. However, most of the time, what comes up really is just that which apparently inside me needs attention at that moment. So it can be one or the other of the figures. And there's relationships between those personalities inside me. And that's what I'm really trying to get at also, is that the fearful one has it's like this mindset is really very narrow. It's so narrow because all she has ever known, that's what defines her, all she has ever known is the fear. So she will always, the moment one of the other guys goes, I can do this, I'm optimistic, I love life, I'm all over the place, she will go, be careful. She will restrain me, she will not block me, not anymore, but she's always on alert. She's always watching. So I suppose I have to sort of accept that that's just the way it is. That's just it's who I am. So there is other personalities in there. There's at least a couple of dreamers, and some of those dreamers, or at least one of them, has extraordinarily weird imagination. It's like there's stuff coming in that I have no clue what it is about. New stuff that I've never seen anywhere. It is not about unicorns and mushrooms and anything else that I can really define. There is just so much more going on that I feel that is really a vibrational other level, a new level of vibration that is trying to talk to me. So what I see now is that the person inside me who's always been afraid has really sensitized me to those type of vibrations. It just kind of fell into my brain. This is why I have been so afraid. Ah, okay. I suppose then that makes, in hindsight, for, I suppose I just have to be very grateful that I made it and I am sitting here and, I'm healthy and I'm talking to you, and I'm generally in more in confusion of what am I going to talk about among all the possibilities that I've got. I have got so much that I want to share and so much that I want to do. So the fear tends to overrule everything else. It tends to it's a very domineering type of vibration. It tends to simply take over the whole system, and it shuts down everything and all that could possibly change its power. Its power, the power of fear, is not it's not available for discussion. So that's fear, right? So other than that, there's a lot more about versions of me that are, that have just sat in a corner for too long, or that have not been recently. I've enjoyed drawing and painting and squiggling in my Book of Shadows so much, I can get really upset and angry with myself or the world that there's so much joy, and I used to want that joy, and I was working and I was painting and I was drawing, and I was just not getting I wasn't authentic in what I was making, even though I was making tons of stuff. But it's so in order for me to get more and more authentic, I need this inner lodge with all those little characters sitting around the fire. And there's an aggressive one even. There's one that's always ready to, start throwing knives and stuff like that. And quite often she has hurt me inside rather than anybody else. And pent up, aggression and bad vibrations, bad reactions. And I suppose she just felt that she needed to defend us against the world. And she's every right to have that thought. So we don't really do much inside the inner lodge other than sitting around the fire, having cups of tea and seeing each other. Just for what we are. And the fact that I have an enclosed space in nature somewhere, it's completely safe, that allows for some interesting and cool moments, and it just allows me to very deeply check in with myself, with the way I feel, with whether anything. And so whenever there's like a temporary setback or something has happened, or I'm just way too tired to do anything, I can still go back into the inner lodge, but it's a choice I make. It's a choice to step beyond the temporary, untrue, stressed out, a mental overload, communication overload and all that, which is really the surface layer of our consciousness in those type of situations. I step away from that. I step away from the Papa thing again, and I go in to myself. So I hope this is interesting to you. I hope you can use this. Tell me about it, and I'll be seeing you soon, or you will be seeing me soon, I hope. And I hope you have a nice day. I hope it's winter is treating you kindly wherever you are. And I should be going out to take photographs of those little interesting patterns in the ice right there. Maybe later, maybe in a bit. See you again soon, guys. Thank you. Thank you for watching.